Talking about other things in the world of sport, we'll start up from the Nigerian Volleyball League. We've got the Division 1 and 2 results popping in right now as G-ranked Spikers. They went up against SWAT, but that game ended in favor of SWAT there as they finished 3-0 in the encounter. Katsina United defeated Kwara United at 3-1. Oluyole Spikers lost the game against Live Camp VC at 3-0, while Safety Spikers lost their game. This is the first loss for Safety Spikers in this Division 1 encounter because they lost to UCEM VC 3-1. UCM VC now, they are unbeaten since having 4 wins in the encounter in 5 matches, while Kwara United, they are yet to record a win in the division. Women Delta Force against Ekiti Queens landed at 3-0 in the Division 1. Division 2 saw Delta Force losing to Defense Spikers, while Caliphate Spikers lost also to Biosa Spikers. Jewel Spikers was a very tight encounter there between Jewel Spikers and Osun Spikers because that game ended 2-3 in favor of Osun Spikers. For Defense Spikers, they are yet to lose a match in the ongoing league taking place at the Indoor Sports Hall at the Moshood Abiola Stadium. So, game will still continue, of course, for the Division 1 and 2 for the Nigerian Volleyball League. Let's go to women's friendly. Morocco played DR Congo on Thursday, and that game ended in favor of the Moroccans Atlas Lionesses. They defeated DR Congo in that encounter 2-1. A late goal from Gazlin Shibak gave them that win against DR Congolese ladies. So we'll be hoping that they can keep this momentum just as they prepare ahead of the Women's African Cup of Nations, of course. Going to men's football, the Egyptian Cup saw 2 games where Al Masry got a lone goal up against Shabin, and that ended in favor of Al Masry. For Ismaili, in a 3-goal thriller, Ismaili won at home to Al Khana. Today's fixture would see Badiat take on El Guna, and National Bank would see Egyptian side, the likes of Petrojet. In the Ghana Premier League, we have Hearts of Oak taking on Nations FC. Today, that would be a big encounter to look at for, as Hearts of Oak have been having a dwindling form over there in the Ghana Premier League, hoping that they can just wake up and have a convincing win at home against Nations FC. The fans are already crying out, telling them to, be the champions that they have always been, because Hearts of Oak fans, they are very emotional fans and they do not take losses from the team. At home today, the fans be coming all out. Nations FC will have to deal with the 12th man there, a very emotional 12th man who want to go for nothing but a win in this encounter. So the Ghana Premier League will see 1 game today, Hearts of Oak taking on Nations FC. Now let's talk about national team gearing up for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Nigeria, for the Nigerian Football Federation, they have now resolved that next week, Monday, 3rd of June, will be the date when the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria will resume. Of course, Finidi George-led team will be without Victor Osimhen and some other key players. The Super Eagles are yet to resume camp in Uyo, but they will have to open that camp on Monday, 3rd of June 2024, in preparation for the upcoming games against the Cheetahs of Benin Republic and Bafana Bafana of South Africa. All 23 players, those who have been invited, those who have been called up for a replacement, they will have to resume camp a day to begin their training sessions under the leadership of Coach Finidi George. The Super Eagles of Nigeria will host South Africa in Uyo before they travel 3 days later to host that encounter, to be in that encounter against the Cheetahs of Benin Republic. Now I've got my colleague with me, Favor Twa, joining me in this conversation. Favor, nice to have you once again here for us to talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Onyechi Obaro. I mean, this is a fantastic time, especially for international football in Africa, and the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be in action in a matter of a week from now. Exactly.
A week from now, and we're already having goosebumps, having a shaky thoughts. I remember at that, the news of Victor Osimhen came to us saying, okay, maybe Victor is out right now, might give a chance for Victor Boniface to show himself since he could not make it to the African Cup of Nations. But are you worried about the latest pulling out of players from the the squad that was unveiled by Coach Finidi George?
Well, it's been a long season for the players in Europe and in diaspora, knowing fully well that some of them played over 30 matches, some of them over 25 matches. And then this is a time where you'd probably expect that he should rest, but that's not the case. For Victor Osimhen, we know how he has been struggling. Even at the AFCON, he played with injury, got back to Napoli, was out for some time, came back again and has been managing the situation. Of course, it's a big blow for Nigeria, not having your best, the most lethal striker in your team. One thing that would really, be of a smudge to the South Africans and the Benin Republic. But then the latest exclusion of Nathan Tella, that's of course was coming as a bit of shock to some. But I'm looking at it in different ways. First of all, we know that Nathan Tella was invited to the friendly matches played in Morocco and did not get a game time.
Do you think that may be the reason? Because he says some family reasons.
Well, if that is it,
a lot are drawing, aspersion to that. Not putting him in, bringing him in as a substitute during the two friendlies played against Ghana and Mali.
Well, I would say that, yes, game management was not the case for Finidi in that particular time. But then you also want to cut him some slacks in the sense that he went into that game without any of the assistants except for the goalkeeper trainer. Then fast forward to this time. Nathan Tella, if that should be an issue or a reason for him to cite family reasons, I would say he should cover himself in shame in the sense that he's a professional player. He had 8 starts for Bayer Leverkusen this season. 8 starts means that most of the times he has been coming in as a substitute. Did he at one point in time tell Xabi Alonso that he will not play, in the next game, or he wants to call it a quit in his career for football in Germany? No, but let's just imagine, let's just hope that that's the case. But we all know that for Nathan Tella, he was part of the final day squad. He also played was also part of the squad that played the German Cup final. And what would be the family reasons that would make you not to come and represent your country? I mean, that's where you play for pride. Should he be a player that is going to the Euros? Would he say that he would not be able to come to the German squad because of injury or because of family reasons? I think the players should also understand that the national team is a platform also to serve your fatherland. I mean, it's really, really big. But for Nathan Tella, that's not the case. He says he wants to be out of the game. But definitely, one good and interesting thing is the fact that they've replaced him with Ibrahim Olawoni. Anybody that knows or has followed Ibrahim Olawoni in the past will know that he's one of the players that have been clamored for by Nigerians to be part of the squad. Plays for Kaykor Rizespor in Turkey. He has had 8 goals and 3 assists this season. He's doing well. He did well for his team, in the Turkish Super League.
And he started from the Nigeria Premier Football League, of course, Enugu Rangers.
He started from Abia Comet, moved on to Abia Warriors, and then to Enugu Rangers. And since then, he has become a known figure in the Turkish Super League.
So you think he's a worthy replacement for Nathan Tella? I'm a bit confused about the position of players who are pulling out and the position of players Finidi George is bringing as replacement. Are you concerned in any way? Because we have right now a left back, a right back from the Nigeria Premier Football League, and now a midfielder from Turkey to replace Nathan Tella.
All right, well, when you look at Victor Osimhen, before Victor Osimhen pulled out from the international window, we had an issue with the left back. We had only one person that could play the left back position. That's talking about Calvin Bassey. Even though we know that in the last few matches in Fulham, he has played as a centre back, but he can also play as a left back. And after Victor Osimhen pulled out, Finidi George decided to bring a backup, a natural left footer. That's Igboke, who of course have been drafted into the team. That's to make a balance for the left wing. And then looking at the midfield role, Nathan Tella plays wing back in Bayer Leverkusen. He also plays from the flank. Now for Olawoni, he plays as a midfielder, but in Turkey he plays as a winger too. So he can play 2 positions, the midfield and the wing, and that's one thing that would also work for Finidi George. Should in case the wingers are not giving up or giving the best of their, the best in terms of the positions they are playing, he will bring in Ibrahim Olawoni. And one thing again is he has also played in the Gospel Akpabio International Stadium before now, by playing for Enugu Rangers. So it's a familiar top for him, and he's playing against a natural players who are playing in the African League, and of course that's talking about South Africa. Most of their players are in the league or in South Africa.
Let's talk about South Africa.
It's going to be good.
Let's talk about South Africa right now. Just as Nathan Tella had been excluded from the squad list for the Super Eagles of Nigeria due to family reasons, remember that at the time for the African Cup of Nations, Lyle did say that he should be excused from the Bafana Bafana squad. Hugo Broos did announce his final squad list for the upcoming 2026 World Cup qualifiers against Nigeria and Zimbabwe for the Bafana Bafana. And we did see some good names there too. I was a bit worried because I know that these players ply their trade in the local league, especially just 90% of the players called up for the Bafana Bafana squad. They ply their trade in the local league, the South African PSL. But there are some names at the African Cup of Nations familiar to the Super Eagles of Nigeria when they played at the AFCON that are not listed. We did see Mokoena. Mokoena is not listed in that list by Hugo Broos, but there's some familiar ones. Timbazwane, Percy Tau, Rowan Williams, Kikana, Grant Kikana, and not forgetting the likes of Sisole for the South African squad. Who do you think would be a big of a problem for the Super Eagles of Nigeria? Because Coach Hugo Broos named 8 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 8 forwards in his final squad.
Well, for the South Africans, Hugo Broos is one man who has played Nigeria before. He was coach of Cameroon in 2017 in Uyo when Nigeria defeated him 4-0 right there at the Gosula Kwame International Stadium. Then he fast forward and moved to South Africa, and then we see what he has. We are seeing what he has done with them. He had give Nigeria a big challenge when he played at the semi-finals of the Africa Cup of Nations. I think I'll start with the goalkeeping department. Ron Williams, arguably, is one of the best goalkeepers on the African continent, having done magnificently well at the just concluded African Cup of Nations. He's a goalkeeper for Mamelodi Sundowns. He's already won the league. Yet to taste defeat in the league this season. A very good form for Mamelodi Sundowns.
Mamelodi Sundowns have tasted defeat 1-0 against Cape Town.
Well, they won the league without tasting the defeat until after winning the league.
Yes.
So that's like a big one for them. So, and then I'm also looking at from defense Maduga, a man who of course kept Ademola Lookman in his pocket at the AFCON, and you would say that yes, he's doing well in Atalanta, but he was able to ensure that Ademola Lookman did not have much to play in that game against South Africa. Okay. Not also forgetting for the midfield, you look at the midfield, you also look at, not forgetting Sitole. Sitole is a fantastic player, and he's one man who has got experience on the African continent. He knows the Super Eagles of Nigeria very well. He also want to bring in...
And he kept them at bay at the African Cup of Nations. He was just that pain in the neck from the midfield area for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Exactly,
and then attack, of course, like Foster is back, Percy Tau playing for Alakmi.
Let's talk about Lyle Foster, his return. If you were Hugo Broos, would you have taken him in? Because remember that he excused himself due to mental issues, but played for his club over there at the English Premier League.
Well, mental issues sometimes do not take a long time, but I think for Lyle Foster, he was going to go into a tournament as the AFCON.
Yeah.
And at that particular time, I think the coach also had a talk with him to ask him what the issue was, but he asked to be excused. He also focused on his mental health, and I think he was respected that he allowed to go and face what he wanted to face. But don't forget, he didn't come into the squad immediately at the Premier League. He also took a while before he came back to start playing. I remember Vincent Kompany also had 1 or 2 things to say about it. Also, he was also concerned about his mental health, and I think that's one thing we should also take seriously. But for the coach right now, he has also asked him if he's ready and available to play, and why not? He has been invited to the team, and I think that will be a very, very good one for them. Let's not forget also that there will be a big miss for the South Africans. There will not be Lodge. Lodge plays for Mamelodi Sundowns. He moved from Orlando Pirates to Mamelodi Sundowns. That's a big miss. But then we have an interesting one for Patrick Magashagwani. She is also doing very, very well, and we hope to see the very best of the team. Don't forget, the last time Nigeria played South Africa in Uyo, he ended in a 2-0 defeat to Nigeria. So we hope that Super Eagles can take that as a revenge and bounce back to winning ways in the Uyo.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what they can bring to the table. Maybe they will come for a revenge, a revenge mission over there in Uyo. But I'm sure the Super Eagles of Nigeria, come injury or not, I know they'll be prepared for.
But just to add, they'll be coming with a chartered aircraft. I mean, that's a big one because, of course, not every country in Africa uses the chartered aircraft. Some of them do commercial planes. So they will come straight to Lagos and they'll move again with the chartered aircraft from Lagos to Uyo. That would also kill stress and fatigue.
That's a good preparation from the South African Football Association. I'm sure they want to get this one done against the Nigerian Super Eagles. Finidi George must be prepared and ready to go up against a Hugo Broos charges. Let's go to Cameroon right now, Favor. And to join us in this conversation will be sport journalist all the way from South Korea. We've got Valentine Bambo. Thank you so much, Valentine. Thank you for your patience. Now it's time to talk Foot. Thank you for joining us on In the Game.
Thank you so very much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
All right, with the recent incident over there in the Foot, but we know that The latest development is the president of Fecafoot, that's Samuel Eto'o, who has apologized to coach Matt Bryce and also reinstated him as the boss of the country's national team, the Indomitable Lions, following that row between the federation, the sport ministry, the coach being appointed by the sport ministry, the federation wanting their own assistant, their own technical team, all the back and forth coming from the Fecafoot. But at this time, we did see that press conference that was done by Samuel Eto'o. Let's listen to that apology. When we come back, we'll have you reacting, Valentine.
Nous sommes aux amis, comme je vous l'ai dit, je suis face à la raison. Sachez que vous compterez parmi vos amis, peut-être parmi les dernières personnes qui seront à côté de vous, je serai là parce que nos destins sont liés. Si notre équipe famille on gagne, le président que je suis n'aura pas de problème de cheveux. Parce que si on ne gagne pas, j'aurai beaucoup plus de difficultés pour payer des salaires, pour faire avancer cette mission. Je sais que votre mission n'est pas facile, malgré votre expérience, malgré vos qualités, elle n'est pas facile, mais sachez que ici, vous aurez notre soutien pour qu'elle soit moins difficile.
The apology coming from the Fecafoot president, Samuel Eto'o. Of course, the Indomitable Lions have got the 2026 World Cup qualifiers just 2 weeks away from now. So, Valentine, thank you so much. As I did say earlier, what do you make of that apology by the Fecafoot president, Samuel Eto'o?
It was a completely different Samuel Eto'o we saw yesterday from the one we saw just few hours before that at the Fecafoot headquarters in Singa, Yaoundé. You know, it's been crazy, if I can use that word, crazy few weeks, or should I say months, in Cameroon football, because it didn't start today. I think this trouble between the Cameroon Football Federation and Fecafoot started way back in March, when it was confirmed after the Africa Cup of Nations that Rigobert Song-Bahana could not be kept as head coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. Fecafoot went on to publish a list of coaches it was submitting to the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education for one of them to be selected to be national coach of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. But all the coaches were ignored, and Mark Breeze was brought in from absolutely nowhere. Everyone was shocked when this Belgian tactician was selected by the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education. So he started from there, and many would say that there has been underlying factors before that, but from this year, 2024, I think that's where the major issue started in this conflict between the Cameroon Football Federation and the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education.
Okay, should Samuel Eto'o's issue have been with the government and the Ministry of Sport for failing to communicate in hiring Mark Bryce rather than Mark Bryce himself?
Yes, Samuel Eto'o made it very clear, first in the communique, that the government took the decision to hire Mark Bryce unilaterally. He was not consulted, or the federation was not consulted in the whole process. Yes, it is true that on the day the coach was being presented to the public, Samuel Eto'o was not present. His father's funeral was on that particular day. I think a minute of silence was held in his father's honor. And now, your question, should his anger be with the coach or the federation? He said to the coach. The coach
ministry
submitted, a list of players, pre-selected a group of players. Samuel Eto'o actually also selected a group of players that he wanted to be part of the coach's national selection. But the coach completely ignored the players suggested to him by the Cameroon Football Federation, also without communicating to the president. So I think
that's where the bone of contention is.
Yes.
Is that why we had a public argument between both Samuel Eto'o and the coach?
Exactly. Because when Samuel Eto'o presented, okay, you can select these players as well in your pre-selection, the coach completely ignored all the players selected by Samuel Eto'o. And also the fact that some members of the technical staff were also selected by Samuel Eto'o. But recently we saw that they have also been ignored totally by Mark Breeze, and that's also been the issue. I think that's where somewhere to things that Mark Breeze went wrong.
All right, Valentine Bambo, thank you very much for joining us once again. For me, I'm a bit concerned about the games that lies ahead for Cameroon. Now, we're having the coach having less than a week to settle in, and also Samuel Eto'o recently just apologized to the coach. Don't you think that this might make make it more difficult for the coach to succeed, knowing fully well that he has a bit of short time to acclimatize, to know the players, and also the opponent he's going to be facing?
Well, the coach had already engaged in a process of meeting the players. He met some of the players in person. He met most of them online through online medium, and they had lengthy conversations. He's already had this meet and greet with the players. Now, the issue was, this agreement between the Cameroon Football Federation and also FECAFOOT. Today, just saw the communique from FECAFOOT outlining in detail how the camp is going to start, how the players are going to group up, and how the games are going to be for Cameroon against Cape Verde and also against Angola. It is true that so much time has been wasted already in this embargo between the Cameroon Football Federation and also FECAFOOT. But I think Cameroon still have some time in their hand to start the camp. We really have players like Brian Buomo, also Andre Onana, and why not Kunde Malong, who are in the country that have opted to personally pay their flight tickets and make it over to the venue for the game. And also we have other players who have already purchased flight tickets and are going to be joining for the game. So the spirit, the Lion spirit, is very much present, but just this backdoor fighting between the Cameroon Football Federation and also FECAFOOT that has been, weighing Cameroon football down for quite a long time now.
Okay, I understand that for both parties to come to a truce, the Cameroon Football Association had to list out their own technical team that would work with Mark Bryce. But now that Mark Bryce has been confirmed as coach of the Indomitable Lions, what impact do you think the changes in the technical staff will have on the performance and the morale of the team?
Well, with the technical staff, it's been a really bumpy roller coaster ride. It started this way. The Ministry of Sports and Education selected Mark Bryce, or assigned in Mark Bryce as the coach, and also had their technical staff been selected. We had the goalkeeper trainer, the assistant coach, all of them were selected by the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education. Now, FECAFOOT stepped in, confirmed Mark Bryce, but said, no, look, we want this goalkeeper trainer in Carlos Kameni, who is former Indomitable Lion, and also named a group of coaches that they wanted to be part of the technical staff of FECAFOOT. But we have also seen so many changes with that, because after the confrontation Samuel Eto'o had with Mark Breeze, that was yesterday, he published a new list of technical staff. I appointed Martin Ntungu Pile, who is a household name in Cameroon football. He coached the Intermediate Lions in the African Nations Championship in 2021. He's tactically very intelligent. Also, the likes of David Pagu, who has been nicknamed El Tactico. But these persons, in a recent development, also resigns from those positions. It's crazy what happened. Actually, Martin Tungu Pile happens to be a government staff, and immediately he was appointed by the Cameroon Football Federation. The Ministry of Sports and Physical Education reassigned him to another location, a remote location, in what many persons termed as a punitive transfer. And also David Pagu, who is current coach with Stade Renard, was appointed the assistant to Martin and Togo Pile. He was also reassigned to the eastern region of Cameroon and also a remote area. So
the Ministry of Sports are at loggerheads with the FECAFOOT because of Samuel Eto'o. Exactly. Is that what you mean?
So these two persons who were appointed by the FECAFOOT had to resign from the positions that were assigned to by FECAFOOt. And with the recent developments, with the press conference that was held yesterday, the Cameroon Football Federation is also proposing that they want another set of players. They recently also published a list of a technical staff. Now, not just their own technical staff, but they took some of the technical staff proposed by the Ministry of Sports and theirs, and they have not blended it. Okay. So what is the next thing that the Ministry of Sports and Education is going to do about this? We don't know yet. But as it stands, there is some degree of peace after the apology by the Cameroon Football Federation president yesterday.
I'm hoping that there is a level of peace, as you did say. But Samuel Eto'o promised the coach that his mission will not be easy. While the mission, of course, we know of any coach will not be easy, especially it will be challenging for any coach who take up a job like the Indomitable Lions head coach. Do you think Eto'o himself might contribute to making it more difficult for Mac?
No, I don't think so.
That's after that apology.
I think Eto'o, yes, why I think Eto'o used those words is because the Cameroon population is a population that loves football. I tell you, I've been in South Korea now for 8 months, and whenever I meet someone in my university here and they ask me, where are you from? I say, I'm from Cameroon. They say, oh, football. Do you know Eto'o? Cameroon is famous for football. Many people know how much Cameroonians love football. And Cameroonians, they don't pair well with failure. That's why there was so much pressure on Rigobert Song-Bahana. There was so much pressure on his predecessor, Antonio Conceição, on Antonio Conceição's predecessor, Clarence Seedorf, and Hugo Broos. And there has been so much pressure, and there will be pressure on Mark Brees as well. Because if you look at his portfolio, where did he come from? He's never coached a national team before. Yes, he's coached in Belgium and in the Middle East, but he's never really had much success as a coach. We know that he won the Belgian Cup against Club Brugge. I think that's the apex of his career after coaching more than 10 teams. He's coached 12 clubs so far. So what exactly can he show for? So I think these are the great expectations from Cameroonians that I think seem to have been through to him. It's not going to be an easy task for him.
All right, we will be following up on the situation over there at the Cameroonian Football Federation, not forgetting that Cameroon has also got 2 fixtures for the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. We have been speaking to a sport journalist all the way from South Korea with Cameroonian too, following up with all happening in his country football association.
Exactly.
Valentine Bamboth, thank you so much for joining us on In the Game today.
Thank you so very much for having me, and I wish the best of luck to the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Of course, I'm hoping that this will go all the way, a long way for them, because they've got South Africa, who they faced at the African Cup of Nations. Thank you so much. While we're talking about the weekend, Favor, you know it's going to be a juicy one, a wrap-up from the season with the UEFA Champions League. As I did say, the final between Real Madrid, who have been 14-time champions. Can anybody even stop them against a side who will be coming for the 4th time to the final of the competition? That's Borussia Dortmund. Woo! Will your money be on?
Well, if I don't want my money to go, I'd probably put it on Real Madrid. But then Borussia Dortmund has shown that over time that this season they are a team to watch out for. They've knocked out AC Milan. They went through a group stage of AC Milan, Newcastle, Paris Saint-Germain. Then they went all the way. We saw them play against Atletico Madrid in the quarterfinals. Then in the semi-finals, it was against PSG. So they've been faced with big and tougher teams, but then there's another task ahead of them. We hope that Marco Reus probably would wrap the career with something fantastic. We won't forget Matt Hummels is also there, an experienced player. These are the 2 players that were part of that 2013 squad that lost to Bayern Munich right there in Wembley. So it's going to give them so many memories playing in London. Okay, Favor, we'll be hoping that it comes to fruition there. All odds are in favor of Real Madrid. Thank you so much, Favor, for joining me on In the Game today for this conversation. Thank you very much. And you have been watching In the Game. You can catch up by following our social media platforms at News Central TV. Do not forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel. #In the Game. Join the conversation. I am Onyinyechi Obaro. Thank you for being there.